So you've decided that the Labrador Retriever is the perfect puppy for you, and you want to make sure that that first day at home goes perfectly. Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that you need to make sure you're doing on day number 1 to set you and your new Labrador up for wild amounts of success. So the first thing that you need to do when you bring your new Labrador puppy into your home is make sure that you and everybody in that home, before your puppy comes into the home, is to agree what the rules are in your home. Now, one of the big things that I think is incredibly important is that the dog, the Labrador, has no access to anything that it finds desirable without first sitting and looking up to you for guidance and direction. So to be able to achieve that, you have to teach your Labrador puppy how to sit. So day 1, absolutely start with teaching your Labrador how to sit. And once they get that concept, you can start using that straight away for anything that they find desirable. Riley right now would really like a bit of fuss. She really likes a bit of a neck scratch. But to get that, she sits quietly, patiently, looking to me for guidance and direction with good manners. That then has knock-on effects everywhere in life, and you'll find yourself living with a joy to live with because they're just well-mannered dogs. And that starts from day 1 with agreeing on what the rules are in your home as a family, and then everybody in that family consistently sticking to those rules. The next tip for when your Labrador puppy is coming home is to make sure that you instill boundaries from day 1. Now, this tacks on nicely with rules, but what are your boundaries going to be? I really believe that young puppies should have very, very limited access to their environment, and you should absolutely be utilizing crates, pens and baby gates from day 1. You do not want your puppy, your Labrador, to develop severe attachment to you where it's acceptable for them to follow you round everywhere. That is a one fast track pass to separation anxiety that you want to make sure you're avoiding at all costs. And to do that, that is helpful for them to understand that there are boundaries. And just because you can go somewhere doesn't mean that they can as well. So create boundaries in your home. Give your dogs limited amount of access. Now, as they get older and their behavior sets in, and you started to make massive success in areas, you can slowly extend out those boundaries. But whilst you're working on toilet training or potty training, whilst you're working on obedience, whilst you're helping them understand that they can't chew and destroy things in your home, whilst you're working on avoiding separation anxiety, keep those boundaries tight and insist on them from day 1. And the last tip I want to touch on is around having expectations from day 1. Now, I do think it's incredibly important that for all the Labradors in our life, we maintain high levels of expectation. But the important thing that I want us to touch on here is having realistic expectations. That is the key when it comes to managing your Labrador, is accepting that at 8 weeks old, you're not going to have incredible levels of success. At 4 months, at 6 months old, your Labrador is not going to be as well behaved as one that has been being trained for 2 years, day in, day out, where those rules and boundaries have been followed and maintained for 2 years, day in, day out. That does not mean that you should have low or no expectations to let them get away with things. But that's why we need to look back to our first 2 points. What are our rules and boundaries? What are our fair expectations for your dog's age? And then making sure that we're insisting that they meet those expectations from day 1. Now, it does not need to be rocket science to train a puppy. It can be quite a straightforward process if you follow and maintain consistently as a family good rules, boundaries and expectations, and you insist on those things because you love your dog and because you need to do those things for your dog because you are your dog's leader, and ultimately leadership is love.